Welcome to the American Med Spa Association podcast, Medical Spa Insider. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch is speaking with Martin Kessler, co-founder and COO of Shape Inc.
All right, welcome everybody. Medical Spa Insider, another podcast. Very happy to have you. I am thrilled to have on the AmSpa hotline Martin Kessler from ShapeScale, and ShapeScale is a relatively new product. I don't think it's been just invented, but I think you all are going to be really, really curious when you hear about it. We've, Martin, you guys were at Medical Spa Show from what I recall, right? At least walking through, right? And and you guys have what's interesting about your product, and we'll get into it because I know you'll do a better job than at describing it. But I think it addresses something that that a lot of us are dealing with, which is how do you deal with when you're looking at your body. Scales when you're measuring yourself, when you're weighing yourself, don't always do it justice. I was telling you before we came on an anecdote with my wife, who is I'm very proud of. She is now doing Pilates every day. She's been, she went from literally zero muscle to now she's like actually in shape, and she'll tell you that herself. The issue we were having, and she was telling me this, was that she was weighing herself on the scale. She kept gaining weight. She was upset about it. I kept telling her that she looks great, the way her body looked. Your ShapeScale, which you have developed, you are the co-founder and the COO of ShapeScale. You have solved for that. First of all, Martin, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you joining us. And tell me a little bit about yourself and about ShapeScale, and then we'll kind of dive into it, because I think it's going to be a really big hit for med spa owners and the folks in our industry.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Alex. I really appreciate it. I'm a huge fan of AmSpa and what you guys been doing. I mean, you're doing a really great service to the whole community. And yeah, I mean, like you said, we're kind of like the new kid on the block. The product had been in development for over 5 years, but we really only launched it last year, and we've been slowly expanding. And medical spas are definitely one of our largest segments right now.
Yeah.
So I'm Martin Kessler, co-founder and CEO of Shape, the company behind ShapeScale. And I'm a serial entrepreneur with a passion for health tech and over a decade of experience in fitness and wellness space. And I'm also a certified sports nutritionist.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, and I would love to hear the reason this resonated with me was because of the story I just told you. And I think it's, and then, I was looking at your product, and it really, I always like, and being a part of an industry, which is what we are, products and solutions that really answer something that is bugging people. I would love for you to talk a little bit about how, and I know this wasn't you, this was your partner, but how the idea for this product came out, because it really is, it kind of goes to exactly something that folks deal with on a daily basis. And then we can talk about how we got into it and how it can fit into a med spa.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the story of ShapeScale came really about, I think, 7, 8 years ago. And that was when my co-founder was living in China at the time, was trying to get into better shape. He was basically putting on some weight, different diets. He was eating a lot of rice. And, his wife started asking him, like, oh, are you getting pregnant or something? And that was kind of like for him in the moment, like, oh, got to do something, right? And so he got a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get into better shape. He was working out 4 times a week, and he was starting to feel better, like 4 or 5 weeks in. And he was looking at himself in the mirror, and he was like, yeah, I feel more energetic, like I really feel like I'm getting into better shape. But then he also had like one of those fancy, smart scales at the time. And that one told him that his weight and his body fat hadn't really changed at all. So a little bit puzzled by that, he went back to his personal trainer, and he was like a little bit old school. So he was like a former MMA fighter, and he was still taking tape measures and skin fold measurements, etc. And he was like, okay, let's take the time to measure everything.
Yep.
And he took the tape measure out, and he was measuring all over. And it turned out that he lost like an entire size around his pant size, and he was actually increasing his size around his shoulders. And then it turned out through the skin fold measurements that his body fat went down, and he was actually gaining some muscle mass. And yeah, so his weight didn't really shift a whole lot, but his body was recompositioning, right? And that really is what happens often when you start to exercise and you go on a weight loss treatment. That's really when your body composition can be really all over. And
Yeah.
if you take the time to take all those measurements, you really understand things are changing, and that's really motivating and engaging. But if you don't, you get frustrated, right? Because you put in all this work and effort, and then you don't really see any
Yeah.
fruit of your labor. So him
And
being
it's
an
it's
engineer, he
not
was
easy to
like,
get those
yeah,
memberships. I mean, those measurements, right?
yeah,
All of us have like little skin.
exactly, right? Like
It's not going to be
you need
tape
to have
measurement.
somebody else do it for you for
Right.
once. It's kind of invasive and awkward, right? Because you kind of have to be like half naked. They put the tape measurement right on your skin, and that can be also prone to human error, right? Like depending on the practitioner, like if you have different practitioners taking the tape measurements, you may have some variance between those two measurements. So it's not great. So him and engineer being like, there's got to be a better way about this, and that's really how we arrived at 3D body scanning eventually.
Mhm. And so I've seen, I've seen 3D body scanning before. It's what does ShapeScale bring that is different? Like what's the what does it bring to the table that allows people to solve for this problem that traditional scales and traditional measurements don't provide?
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't really seen it, so it's really a compact device that pairs a weight scale with a rotating robotic arm that features a 3D camera system. Takes
Mhm,
about 5 feet in diameter, so a little bit more than your regular scale, but
mhm,
it's still pretty compact. I would say we're the most compact 3D body scanner on the market right now.
mhm,
And then basically what happens is ShapeScale analyzes your body composition and body shape much more thoroughly than a regular scale or tape measure would ever do, right? In just under a minute, it creates a photorealistic 3D model of the
mhm,
body paired with exact measurements and body composition data. So ShapeScale does actually several things. It makes a lifelike 3D model of your
mhm,
client's body. It calculates weight, body fat percentage, lean mass, visceral fat, and then it gives you also precise measurements for all those different body areas through automated tape measures like waist circumference, all the way to segmented body volume, like how much volume, for instance, your client has in their lower abdomen or in their butt. So that's really useful for aesthetic treatments, for example.
yeah.
And then, yeah, over time, you can monitor those composition changes. And then we also have some visualization features, like we create color graded heat maps, really showing you areas where you have lost and gained in colors like blue and yellow and red. So you can instantly see what has changed between 2 points in time. So it's almost like a magic mirror.
Yeah. So it's and it reminded me of one of those like social media cameras that spins around you, right? And you do like a little dance.
Yeah, yeah, we've been getting like sometimes like confused around that.
Yeah, yeah. Because it does. So and it's something I think it helps to visualize. And so and I know your website has a lot of great media on it that you can look at, which I was looking at before. So it kind of looks at first like a traditional scale. There's that part of it, right? So you stand on it. And then there's an arm that comes out and there's this device that spins around. What's the like and I don't want to get too techy here, but your partner and the guy who founded it, like, what's the technology? Like, what does it do? Is it all imaging? How is it getting the body fat
Right.
composition? And then and I guess my question after that is, well, let's answer that part first, and then I'll get to the next one.
Yeah, so it's obviously very different than a bioelectrical impedance device, right? Like the way we get to body composition. But yeah, let me try and break it down as much as I can. So I would say in a nutshell, picture ShapeScale as like a high-tech hands-free tailor that is using optical lights instead of a tape measure, and that's
Mhm.
really ShapeScale for you. And it's how we have that robotic arm with a special 3D camera,
Yep.
and that you can really think of as like a pair of super smart eyes. Like
Mhm.
so when you step on the device, it not only measures your weight, because that's really when the magic happens. The arm starts rotating around you several times, and
Mhm.
while it does so, the 3D camera captures hundreds of thousands of measurements in less than a minute. And what it's creating is called a point cloud. Imagine a 3D connect the dots picture of your body, but with millions of dots, and it's connecting all of them. And then our software then links all these dots to build a detailed 3D model, your digital twin, which is volumetrically accurate and also has the photo texture of you. So it really looks like you, but it's precisely measured just like you. And from there, it really lets us to take all those precise measurements from every single angle without touching you. And that is really what makes it game changing for medical spas, right? Like, because now you can spot even the tiniest changes in your body shape over time. Now
Yeah,
that's the body shape
terrifying,
part.
to be honest. Like, I don't know if I
Yeah,
want
we get that reaction a lot, right? Like it's 50% of the people say like, oh, I really don't want to know. Like, I know I'm in a bad shape. I don't want to know. I don't want you to tell me that. And then there's other people, the other half is like, yeah, I want to get in a better shape. I need to have that intelligence so I can make really the right informed decisions to get in a better shape.
Yeah. So, okay. So you said that's kind of the body scanning
Yeah.
part. You were going to mention I think the next level.
Yeah. So we use that 3D volumetric model of you then to basically calculate body composition. And we do that through a deep learning AI model. So we had over 1,000 people that captured both a ShapeScan as well as a low intensity X-ray, a DEXA scan, which is basically measuring body composition from, body fat, lean mass, bone mass, visceral fat. And then our model was basically correlating your body shape and demographics with the body composition data as collected by the DEXA. And that gives us really high accuracy. It gives us about an error margin of just 2.8%, which is really state of the art and about, I would say, twice as accurate as a bioelectrical impedance device on average.
So just from the kind of the calculations, the visual calculations, you can estimate, and you did this by comparing, other traditional methods of measuring body fat versus yours. You're within around 2% of kind of what like that the actual body mass is just from doing the camera.
Now, if I just explain the difference, right? Like to a bioelectrical impedance device, like an in-body, they use low voltage current, they jolt it up through the body, they measure your water content, and because body fat holds more water than lean mass, that's kind of how they estimate body fat versus lean mass. Yeah. Now our approach is slightly different because we have your volume, we have your weight, we also have your density, and because lean mass is more dense than body fat, that also gives us a better idea around body composition. And it's less prone to those fluctuations that you see based on hydration level, which you see with the bioelectrical impedance device, right? Like ever taking like a body fat measurement on an in-body, like one in the morning and then one in the evening, it can be wildly different. And that's just because of your hydration levels and how they fluctuate throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's looking at some of the pictures and the videos, I'm imagining myself on it, and it's a little but I will say it is also really the best way to measure progress, right? Because you can't just do it I'm always weighing myself just because I need something, right? I need some sort of measurement, some sort of scale that I can work off of, some sort of baseline. But it doesn't really tell the whole story. And so having this and just so I'm kind of clear with the way that it works, how often is a patient supposed to do this is it just kind of whenever they come in? Talk about how it would fit into an actual med spa's practices and processes. Hey folks, it's Alex Thiersch. When it comes to injecting in the face, safety is more than skin deep. One wrong move could cause serious injury, hurt your reputation, and possibly endanger your business. That is why AmSpa partnered with the Academy for Injection Anatomy to create the AIA Advanced Cadaver Course, the most thorough and advanced facial anatomy course in the industry. Created and taught by renowned board-certified plastic surgeon Dr. Chris Surik, one of the foremost facial anatomists in the world, along with his hand-chosen faculty of the most experienced injectors in the industry. Students experience firsthand and close-up the anatomy of the face so that they can inject safely and confidently. Unlike other cadaver courses with large groups or limited access, the AIA Advanced Cadaver Course provides small group instruction with a high faculty-to-student ratio and a limit of 4 students per cadaver specimen. Everyone who attends gets a chance to inject real product and then dissect cross-sectionally to see how close they came to vessels and other important structures of the face. This hands-on cadaver lab follows a full day of instruction on facial anatomy from our world-renowned faculty, including discussions of complication management, rheology, and an introduction to the use of ultrasound in your practice by Dr. Steve Weiner, one of the pioneers of using ultrasound as facial injections. At this 2 day course, students learn how to avoid common danger zones, how dermal fillers behave, and the best places to place product for safe, outstanding results. More than 3,000 aesthetic injectors have improved the safety and efficacy of their injection techniques with the AIA Advanced Cadaver Course. Now it's your turn. Visit americanmedspa.org/AIA Advanced. Start your journey to safer injecting today. The AIA Cadaver Course will be in New York City on September 20th, Nashville on October 18th, and finally in Orlando on November 8th. See you there.
Yeah, so the cadence really depends on what you're doing. I mean, we see it with like body contouring treatments, like to be done almost every single time after somebody goes through a treatment. So it can be as often as once or twice a week, and then over a course of like 6 weeks to really chart out client progress around certain treatment areas. Now, when it comes to weight loss programs, we see anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks as an average cadence, and that again depends a bit on your own process. In terms of using ShapeScale, it is fairly simple to use, I have to say, because all you have to do is really step on the device. And you have to wear, by the way, something form-fitting, because we're using optical light, meaning it's not harmful radiation that is deeply penetrating the skin, like an X-ray or CT scan. So you can use it every day. You can be pregnant. You can wear a pacemaker. You can have implants. They're not those are an issue. But because it measures you from the outside, when you wear like a loosely fitted shirt, that's gonna
measure
offset your measurements. So it's not really great for health purposes at that point in time. But that's really the only limitation, right? So you step on it in form-fitting clothing, it takes a scan in a minute, and you're done. It's using facial recognition that sends your client data automatically to their account. So you don't need to fumble around with any software just to take a scan. And that really makes it easy to use, right? Because it only takes a couple of minutes of your time to take a new scan. And we have even like some clinics that take a scan every week for their weight loss clients because they just really want to come in just to get a scan.
Yeah. What's the feedback been so far from some of the med spas and clients, particularly in the weight loss setting, but body sculpting as well? What's the reaction?
It's been tremendous. Like we had some report to us that they increased their, closing rates, like doing the initial consultation to over 90% since having a ShapeScale, because now they can almost like offer a reality check to those, initial patients. They're like, wow, that's what I look like. And then you can really sell your program, right? And then you can also show some past client success, which is really empowering as well and motivating. And then throughout the client journey, it really allows you to stay engaged and motivated. And because you can see that minute progress that you often wouldn't have been able to see beforehand. And that's really the feedback that we're getting from a lot of our customers, that in the past, clients would get a little bit frustrated here and there because they wouldn't see progress. Well, now they see progress, and that's really great. And then on the flip side, at times it also allows you to improve, client adherence to your programming. Right. Because what is important is not just to go like on a semaglutide treatment. It's also important to make healthy lifestyle changes, right? Like you need to be on a healthier diet of whole foods, higher protein diet, paired with resistance training. And if you don't, you will lose quite a bit of lean muscle tissue, which is not great because that will end up decreasing your bone density, which puts you at risk of bone fractures later in life. So you really want to maintain lean muscle tissue as much as possible. And ShapeScale allows you to measure that. And you can also see through the regional measurements where those changes are happening, because sometimes the client may be neglecting their lower body workouts. Well, now with ShapeScale, you can tell, and you can basically change your programming based on that.
Yeah, I have to ask this because we have seen through Ozempic and all the, these new weight loss drugs that have come on, a ton of our members have adopted. I think our study showed 50% roughly of our members actually are using this. Have you, was that trend, and that must have been just absolutely huge for your business and kind of the timing of it. Did that have anything to do with how you brought it? Did you try to accelerate because of that, or was that just like kind of really good timing? Because it seems very fortuitous.
Yeah, it's been huge for us. I mean, honestly, like we were only soft launching the product last year, a little bit experimenting here and there, and we do have acquired quite of a variety of different businesses, right? Like we work with gyms, we work
Yeah.
with chiropractors, physical therapists, all the way to wellness businesses, med spas, and weight loss clinics, functional health clinics.
Mhm.
So there is a variety of different businesses, but we see really a commonality there that weight loss is really driving a lot of that growth. And we've been definitely getting a lot of inbound just because of that. And we're now going through our largest production run of over 400 units right now, which we're anticipating to close next week.
That's
And
awesome.
that alone is going to almost double our customer size.
That's awesome. Um, and you mentioned that you can get like an image of the scan sent to you without, any software or anything like that. But I'm assuming there's more to it than that, like for the actual businesses that own it. And you get whether it's on your phone or an iPad or whatever it is, and you can look at it, you can manipulate things. What does that look like? What's the functionality after the scan is taken that folks can use?
Right. So ShapeScale comes with a mobile app available on iOS, which you can, by the way, download. We have some demo accounts on there. You can try it for yourself. But the app is basically available to both your clients as well as the business practitioner by proxy through a client dashboard that has a list of all your clients. You can tap onto their profile and bring up their data. And now the data basically have a 3D picture of them, right? You can rotate it, you can zoom in. It's got the photo texture and everything. So it's almost like a 3D before and after photo. And that gets me to the next feature, right? Like once you have multiple scans, you can line them up in a 3D before and after view with an older scan on the left-hand side that you can pick and a more recent scan on the right-hand side. And then you can set up a visual comparison paired with numeric changes. So like how much a patient's waist circumference or their upper torso volume may have changed. And then you can have both images side by side
Mhm.
aligned with the numeric change. So it's almost like a magic mirror showing you exactly what has changed or where something has changed. And then
Yeah.
we pair that, of course, with a dashboard that gives you overall body composition numbers, like your body fat, visceral fat, lean mass, weight, and all of that.
Yeah. That is bonkers. I mean, so when you have the two images side by side, can you then rotate them so you're looking from the back to
Yeah,
front?
exactly. Everything's in sync. So when you zoom in, it zooms in on both sides. When you rotate, it's rotating on
Yeah.
both sides. It's really awesome.
I can tell you I will never do this, but I want to. I want to. So I will. I will do this, but I don't want to because man, that's gotta be terrifying. Because you know what, like, at some point it's like you're basically saying this is you're stripping off your your clothes and saying this is what it is, right? And that's terrifying, but also extraordinarily valuable for med spas and for folks who are, especially if you're doing medical weight loss. I mean, it's not just that. I think it's also with the body contouring. I mean, sometimes it's those differences are so subtle that it's difficult to see. So having something like this is, I mean, I think it's a great idea. It's a great product. Kudos to you guys for coming up with it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been over 5 years in development, and we're so happy that it has found so many happy customers.
Yeah. Let's talk a lot of the folks who are listening are business owners. Let's talk a little bit about the kind of the business side of this when it comes to we're always looking at
Mhm.
consumables and things like that. What does one of these cost and what can you talk about as far as the economics of it?
So you can either purchase a ShapeScale outright for about 10 grand, and that gets you lifetime cloud service, the device, 2 years of warranty, software updates for life, etc.
Okay.
And the alternative to that is to lease it from us. So there you don't own it, you just rent it from us, and that costs you 199 per month. And that
Yeah.
covers again the device, software updates, servicing and warranty throughout the lease term. And the lease term is really flexible. So the first 45 days, it's sort of like a trial. You have no commitment. You can return the product during that time frame. So you can kind of test it for yourself, see if
Hmm.
it fits your needs.
Yeah.
And then it rolls into a 12-month term. So it is still asset light, pretty flexible is the best way to get started. And that is what we see most customers choosing right now.
Yeah, that's like the thing right now is to have it like that. So that's really cool. And then part of that is that they do get I mean, is there any type of training that's necessary, or is it pretty self-explanatory with how it works?
It's pretty easy to set up. If you ever have set up like a, smart home device, it's kind of like that. You have to pair it to your phone, connect it to your Wi-Fi, and then it's good to go. And then we do have an on-demand training around all the features, so you have basically an idea of how to best use it. But we
Mhm.
also do have account managers, so you can schedule a call with them for some additional training.
What's your what's the goal? Like, what do you guys want to, where do you see this going in the next, say, 3 years?
That's a good question. Honestly, like the initial vision was to bring it to everyone's home. That's really our ultimate goal. Like, not necessarily like what we have right now, but a more compact, smaller, maybe
Mhm.
even more sleeker version than this. Like it could be a mirror that hangs on your wall in your bathroom and that kind of acts as your own body health and wellness concierge. Like it kind of gives you some analysis and recommendations around how to be in the best possible shape of your life.
And
That's
then,
really our ultimate mission, like almost like a Star Trek kind of scanner for you.
yeah. And you said it takes up, I think you said 5 feet of diameter right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I get it. I think having it, the dream of having it in everyone's home is there. But for right now, I mean, I think it's perfect for
Yeah, I mean, we
med.
got to start somewhere, right? Like
Yeah.
think of the current device as like our Tesla Roadster, right? Like it's not
Mhm.
for everyone, right? Like we're going with businesses first because that's how we can reach the most amount of people. And I think that's also the most helpful for us to get started, really, because the businesses really have a lot of know-how, right? So we're really providing them with a better tool to better inform their clients and really help them to get in a better shape.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you had any what's the kind of the reaction been with I know you guys are you're out in San Francisco, I think is where you're located. Have you guys got
Yeah.
some coverage? Have you had some of the techies out there being all excited about it like they tend to get with these new products?
Well, I have to say our biggest market is really like LA and Florida. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like that
Yeah,
in SoCal and Florida, you have more people that are, I would say, appearance conscious. You don't have that as much in the Bay Area, to be frank. Like, I mean,
it's too
techies,
it's too
a
cold.
number of people, they like the longevity aspect of the product, but
Yeah.
not so much the aesthetic, appearance based aspect of the product.
Okay. And so this is like, is this version one, and are you coming up with kind of new models, or is this been kind of been tried and tested, and this is kind of what you're going with for now? And I ask that just because I know people always, a lot of folks, there's so much new technology that comes out in our industry, and people are often like, I want to wait. I'll wait until they refine that a little bit. From what it looks like, it looks awesome. It looks cool. So it looks like it's good to go for me. But tell me what the plans are with future editions.
Yeah, I mean, internally, it's really more like version 4 because we went through so many like prototype iterations and it's been in development for over 5 years, 2 years in internal beta, because we really wanted to make sure that, the product is reliable enough, that the basis, that we build everything on, which is really the measurements, are accurate and reliable. And that's really what we spend a lot of our time and effort on. And I have to say, you really have to think of the device itself just as a camera, right? Like it's capturing the information, but it's not doing a whole lot of the processing right now. All the processing happens in the cloud. And that's really what we're building right now with our
Yeah.
software. It's almost like we're building a camera and Photoshop, but that's really where we see the value in the Photoshop part of it. And there are a bunch of, exciting features that we're still rolling out over the next coming 12 months, like more, segmented body composition, like appendicular lean mass, all the way to also tracking things like facial volume for derma fillers, for example, so you can counteract Ozempic face. So there's a bunch of things we can still do in our algorithms, also refining the photo texture through computational photography. So there's a lot we can still do on the software side
Mhm.
before really needing to, improve further the hardware. But
Yeah.
obviously we have to stay ahead of the game. So eventually there is going to be maybe a new sensor head. So the sensor head, by the way, is modular, so it's easily replaceable. And that's really where all, I would say, the high tech is inside, right? Like it has like all the compute, it's got the camera, it's all in the sensor head. And maybe you're going to add some more sensors, like, I don't know, maybe a thermal lights in the future for, tracking inflammation. I mean, there's definitely still other aspects you may want to look at, but I think
maybe
that's
like
a little bit further out in the
like a
future.
vaporizer or a photon, something
Yeah.
you can transfer yourself like in Star Trek. That's what I'm thinking. Honestly, I feel like that's the next step. Like you have something like that can capture a 3D image and then projects it out into, now all of a sudden you're at the Olympics in Paris right now. Like it's bonkers.
That's the goal.
Well, where can folks, I want to make sure we get, I think for all of you listening, you got to see it, because I think it looks cool. And I think that matters, because it's, we're a very visual business, and I'm envisioning. Now, it does take a little bit of space, right? So it's not like you can just throw it in anywhere. But I'm envisioning a way to do it where you can set up a consult room or something like that with a med spa, and really make it kind of part of the whole process, part of the whole experience. And so, but in order to do that, you really have to kind of see the product. Where can folks go to get more information, see some photos, talk to you, or talk to one of the sales reps? What's the best way to reach you guys?
Yeah, so you can find us on ShapeScale.com. You can always email us, sales@shapescale.com. Hopefully, we're going to be at the next medical spa show next year as well, so you can see us live in person there. And yeah, I mean, we're now in a few hundred locations all across the country. Maybe you can have a look at one of your competitors as well.
Absolutely. I mean, no, absolutely. I think this is great. This is part of the deal, right? This is part of what we're doing. We're a very, not only are we a medically based industry, we are a retail and visual based industry. And so there's this part of it is, like it or not, the folks that are having it are the folks that have devices like this are going to get ahead. So I'm all for it. Maybe, I wonder if I could be brave enough to just like do a scan and then just show my results to everybody at Med Spa Show. Would I be brave enough to do that? Probably not, but I'll think.
I mean, one thing you should definitely do is take a scan in like your next costume. Like that Ken outfit was really awesome, and I could totally imagine that already. Like having that as like a 3D avatar.
I can see what the different volume is between my costumes.
And then you can get yourself 3D printed.
Is that right? Is that part of the?
Yeah.
You can actually 3D.
I mean, we're not offering that as a service, but yeah, it is something that you could do.
Can you 3D print me to look with a little bit of Brad Pitt in there as well? Just something.
I think that's going to cost you a little bit extra.
Oh man. Well, Martin, it's first of all, I'm excited for you guys. I love startups. I love entrepreneurs. That's why we do this. I think it's exciting to see what you guys have built. It's exciting to see that you guys have had some success. Offer you nothing but the best luck. If folks want to go find you at ShapeScale.com, please do so. Otherwise, we'll have to have you back and get you updated. We'll definitely get you to the medical spa show, and we'll see what comes next.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for watching the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel for future videos and podcasts. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, please check our description below.